Yo, yo, yo. The moment you've all been waiting for, or at least like 30 people who have asked about it. The hand.
The latter, the sneaky call.
Sneaky.
Very, very sneaky. King Jack for Charles Cornuth on the button.
This is the second time I've recorded this, by the way, guys. The first time the audio wasn't working. So, it's lucky I'm drinking. So, 25,000 euro tournament. And it's in Dublin. 5-handed. Winner takes home 500,000 euros back in the day of like a year and a half ago. Mustapha Kanit is the chip leader. I'm second in chips. And we have a dynamic that's pretty friendly against each other. And this actually comes to play in pre-flop, where we'd actually been openly, not like colluding or anything, but openly just saying, hey man, I'm going to play pretty passively against you, like he'd limp and like, see, small pot. And it turned out, oh, you could have actually definitely raised that and you could bet the flop out, you know. We're playing small ball against each other because we had such big respect for our games, for each other's games. He was the big stack and I was on his left, and it just worked out well. So that's one of the reasons I decided not to 3-bet these kings, because I just don't think he'd ever think it was a bluff. Obviously, I would get value against like queens, but I don't think he'd get in queens or ace king. I think he'd just peel those hands. So I thought there was a lot more value, instead of just folding out all the hands that I beat him, just calling and letting one of the two potential shove stacks ahead of us potentially 3-bet jamming, and obviously getting a very profitable call.
Position.
How much did you start with, Charlie? Like 4, I think.
Oh, and here's a concept to take away. Even when you're very good at something, you can still make very big mistakes. And something that I think a lot of people who are very high up in the poker world, shout out to Doug, do not do, is that when they make a mistake, or when they do something that's, not great, whether that be morally, or whether that be in poker, or whether that be in life, whatever, I feel like a lot of people aren't very critical of themselves. They're a lot more critical of other people. Here is where I mess up, and I'll let you in on one of the live tells here, but I'm obviously not going to say too much about it because I don't like saying too much about live tells. But here's a situation where I've only called an open. It shouldn't be a very serious situation, but when Chance asks me my stack, I tell him with an extremely overly serious face. And obviously it's quite obvious to see now you're looking for it, but I bet most people didn't see it without it. I've never had anyone mention that to me. But Chance Cornuth is very adept. He's one of the best in the world picking up on these kind of things. And I'm relatively sure, I'll give it like at least 90% that he picked up that I had a
bad shape,
strong hand there.
Fold.
You can see in his smug little face. I love Chance.
Ooh, pass. I like that.
He's very,
welcome
very
to Europe, Chance. Now wait till you see how often you have to use that brush next to the toilet.
But the good thing about being good at live reads is that you also know what other people tend to be looking for, which is really handy because you can throw out fake things and you can cover up certain things. You can't cover up everything. There's just so many things that you can see in a person, like literally so many things, unless you're going to come in a suit of armor that's going to control your posture and all of your movements like mechanically like a crane, then you're not going to be able to cover up everything, and you just have to do your best. And I know a lot of people out there are like, oh, it's not that much complexity. It's like, no, it really is. And just because you little tinny 2-0 players out there aren't so good after your few years of playing poker at picking up other people's live tendencies and live tells doesn't mean they don't exist. It really, really doesn't. This is something that a lot of people, especially in the high stakes poker community, they do not understand, is that just because you don't understand something doesn't mean there isn't a lot of value to it. Like, I don't fully understand PO, but I do readily admit there is a hell of a lot of value to PO solver and using all these different solvers and game theory and everything like that. I say you should use it here, but not here, and I try to be really balanced in my opinion. But you'll get a lot of very theory kind of people that are just like, no, you always have to do that, you always have to do this, and it's just this really unnuanced lack of intricacy in the thought process, and it's just like, come on, guys, come on, you can do better than that. Anyway,
Carrel's still a 2-1 favorite with kings. It's always something.
I did have a read here that I thought Cannon had a piece. I felt like it was more likely he had like a middling pair, so I considered raising on this flop, but I don't think I'd ever get too much value from it. It doesn't look like a spot I'd ever bluff. especially against Kanit when we're first and second in chips with other
Mustafa
short stacks.
continues
So
for
I saw
200
calling
K.
and
He can
leg.
rep a lot here.
The good thing about calling in this spot is you get to have a lot of floats. So when he bets 200 into 530, I can call with a lot of like Jack 10 of hearts, even like definitely all ace highs, some ace queens with the ace of clubs, or even with with the queen of clubs, or ace highs anyway. So like king queens with a club. There's just so many hands that I can represent as a bluff when I'm value betting, if that makes sense. So like when I get to the river, I can still, and let's say he checks the turn, I can still have all of these floats in my range, and I can go quite big for value then because I have quite a lot of bluffs in my range, giving him quite a profitable call still.
Charlie's going to take the standard radio show contest approach of call, call, call.
He has called. The turn card
I'm meant to be going out soon.
is a 9. Mustafa
First-
now with a straight
first
draw to
listing
go
works,
with his
so-
flush draw.
Doing
Which I
it for you
think
guys, the
means we're
daily
only going to
content
see
grind.
more barrels.
500,000.
400,000. They got that wrong. So yeah, still going
Once
for the same
again,
thing.
Charlie
At
jumped.
this point, I think it's more likely he has a bigger hand, so something like 10s plus. I thought maybe he could have a boat, and I'm just getting the livery wrong. I didn't have like super certain. Smooster's one of the people that I actually have one of the best reads on, and I'm comfortable saying this for a couple of reasons. I'm comfortable saying it because he's spoken about it personally, be like, bro, you got a live read on me, you fought these kings. And also because he's just one of the best players in the world, and I don't know too many people that do have live reads on him, and he just owns so many people. I don't feel like I'm like stepping on him by being like I personally have a few reads on him. He is not only one of the best poker players in the sense that he's just like a genius. He's got that creative spark in him. He just finds bluffs where no one else does. He puts pressure on people in ways that no one else really does. But also, just as a person, oh my god, it's such an honor to play with people like that, where he's just like the life and soul of the party in the room. And I'm myself one of the chattiest people at any table. But when I'm next to Musta, I'm probably second. It's just so nice to be around him. He's always like needling people, but he's always like energetic and kind. He never goes over the line. He's always just there to have fun. And it's the same kind of thing that I really appreciate in people, where they have that kind of duality between being serious but having fun at the same time. Like you're doing your best, but also it's a game. Like come on, we're having a laugh. And I think that duality can be brought into so many other things in life as well. So yeah, it's
Calls.
he's
So
one of my
far,
favorite
so
human
called.
beings.
The river is a 7. That is
I
a straight
don't
to the
feel
10
bad.
for Mustapha
I don't feel
Kanit.
bad
Oh,
saying
come
where I
on.
got reads on him. I actually have another hand I want to go over at some point where a Jack High Hero caught him in a pot in quite a reasonably big pot in 100k in Rosvedov. I'll probably go over that at some point as well.
1.9 million in the middle. Mustafa betting for value. 1.4 million. That's roughly 3/4 of the pot.
Mustafa's hand is pretty dang disguised. And this bet is polarizing.
I beat some of your value hands.
They don't give too many close-ups of his face like they did with Doug's in the last live tells one I said. So I'm gonna say don't try and look for too many live tells, but there is some speech going on here, and I'll let you maybe pause it. At the moments where he says something, because I'm gonna analyze it a bit as we go.
Ding!
Oh, that's a less confident smile.
Unconfident smile doesn't mean less confident. In fact, it usually means more confident. People trying to give a very not just smile, but anything that's very obviously like unconfident. If they're like, yeah, it's usually someone trying to look unconfident.
That's good. No, I'm confident.
But you notice how a lot of his movements are very deliberate instead of like they're taken over by his body being actually unconfident. Where he's like, and his smile instantly just drops, and he's like, and it felt like a very deliberate. It's very easy to say it afterwards. Obviously, at the time, it's a lot more confusing. I'm like, was that deliberate? It's really hard to tell. And you're also trying to think of like 10 other things as well, like ranges and so many things to think about. It's a lot easier.
I believe you're confident in life, but I'm not so sure about this hand.
I'm always confident, bro.
Dude's got more confidence than a 1920s grifter.
Oh, there's one on the rail.
What do you reckon I have?
I have no idea, but I don't.
One of the best things to do when you're speech playing is to be the person asking the questions, because when they're thinking on the spot and having to answer just like on the cuff like that, it's a lot harder for them to say something that's like a level. But at the same time, they don't want to say nothing because they don't want to seem unconfident, or they don't want to, people just tend not to say nothing if they have been speaking before. So if you could be the person putting forward the question, being on the leading foot, then very often they might say something that slips up. But whereas if they're the person saying something intentionally, you can't look too much into that because they might be on this level, they might be on the level above, the level above. It's really hard to tell.
I have king.
Tell him a hand just in case he's value betting like queens or jacks and he's like confident with his hand. The reason for that is if I'm trying to get a read on him and he's like confident with queens and then I fold because he's confident, that's a huge error and you burn a lot of BP. So
This is a good hand.
often very good to tell in your hand. Make sure that it's not against the rules. Some places it's against the rules to tell your exact hand, like the WSP, which is insane rule, but whatever.
It's a really good hand, right?
You can actually be like, I don't beat aces, but I beat queens. Then that's the way to get around the rule.
One of my favorites.
It's so funny, man.
Well, you kind of deserve my money then.
Such.
What can I have? I can have 9 sevens.
The reason I'm going through my own range here is because I thought in a very big situation where he could potentially be losing a lot of equity, where he's going from chip leader to maybe like third in chips. I thought it's not a situation where he's very likely if I have a lot of very nutted hands, like boats, for instance, or he could get hero called. Maybe it's not a very likely situation that he would go 3 barrels. Say he had like queen jack of clubs or something like that.
I can have 3-3, 6-6, ace-6, 6-5, 6-7,
9s.
9s, 7s, maybe 10-8,
Not really 7s.
maybe 4-5.
I wasn't reading too much into this. Again, it's like him being in the lead position of saying what he wants to say, and it's really hard to like. Maybe some people are better than I am, but personally, I'm not very good at like very cognitive people saying very intentional things and reading too much into it.
Yeah.
What bluffs can you have?
All of them?
It's very good.
I 6-bet 10-6 offsuited yesterday. So but that is not.
Is it offsuit?
Of course, bro. What do you think I'm talking
Double
about?
suited, let's go.
So the reason I asked what bluffs he can have, because I thought, and this is something I do quite a lot, it's like I've worked it out beforehand, it's a question that a lot of people will give away whether they're strong or weak, because it's a question about, can you be, it's not directly asking, are you strong or are you weak, but it's like saying, can you be strong or can you be weak? So it's not super easy to think about off the bat which one you want to say. So very often what happens is they give away the hand, and in this situation I actually felt like that was one of the things that gave it away. Is when I asked, what bluffs can you have? And he said something that would automatically indicate that he can very easily have loads and loads of bluffs. And he just said it like that. It wasn't like he thought about it, he just said it. And very often, if someone is bluffing, they're not going to want to just like really, really give away how many potential bluffs they can have in their range, because that could mess up, at least not without thinking about it. You know what I mean?
He doesn't do this with queens or jacks, that's for
It's
sure.
one of those things where taking the lead in the conversation is very helpful.
Come on, don't stare at me. We are friends.
Sorry for saying.
Well, Charlie Carrel, it's time to make like a subtitle and read.
Charlie folds.
Good fold, bro. Good fold.
Show one.
Huh?
Show one.
Yeah, you can pick one.
It's the 10.
That's a bad one to see.
It's
Is
not
that
one
bad to see?
I mean, usually you can have 10-8.
I just saw a club and I was like, fuck. But yeah, it's obviously
Club,
not too
okay.
bad.
I don't open 10-8. I don't open 10-8 suited with this stacks.
It's so funny.
That face when you think you've made a really good fold, but at the last second, you're not that sure.
All right, cool. So that's probably all I'm gonna do. I hopefully won't have to edit this at all. I'm gonna go out, and I hope you guys you can feel my passion behind this, and I hope you can see how much complexity there really is behind these kind of live read situations. And when you actually take this complexity and then adjust it based on the theory of poker as well, especially tournaments. Oh my god, it's insane. You can have so many situations where, all right, let's just I'll give like a little tidbit, because a lot of information out vultures there again, getting kind of hungry. Let's imagine you're on a bubble, right? 11 people left, 10 get paid. You are 20 big blinds. There's a bunch of like 10 big blind stacks and like a 5 big blind stack. Someone who you have a read on opens the button of 100 bigs. He's chip leader. He's crushing it into 220 big blind stacks, and he knows you're meant to be folding loads. You're sitting down there. You look at your hand. You've got 9 deuce suited. You're like, fuck, what do I do? You look at the person. You're like, oh no, he did something that's really not nutted. Like, I've got this read. I'm not going to tell you what these reads are. There's actually loads that you can tell when someone's not nutted specifically, especially pre-flop. And that can be really, really valuable, especially when they decide to turn their non-nutted hand into a 4-bet bluff. Anyway, so they're thinking, oh, he's only going to be shoving like ace jack plus in this situation, and probably not like deuces or anything like that, because it's just like such a nice, maybe deuces. I don't know, you have to check out. Probably not deuces. But if you know that he doesn't have, say, the top 15 to 20, so let's say 15% of their range, then this suddenly becomes an extremely profitable shove. And yeah, you could get called by like that 5% that doesn't look super strong, but it's still probably just like ace jack suited. Yeah, I'll probably have to call that. You can still get called by those kind of hands, but the change in equity you have between if you're just shoving into what could be anything, or if you're shoving into what's definitely not like tens plus and ace queen plus, it's so huge. And that's just one example of so many examples. And imagine if you get that situation and you can reliably get that, you're picking up loads of chips on the bubble near a final table, and this is what happens time and time and time again to people that are real good at live tells and are willing to put their ass on the line with live tells. And the amount of EV you can make in this stuff, guys, is insane, absolutely insane. And this is one scenario out of hundreds and hundreds of different scenarios that come up when you apply what you know about the theory and the logic you know around poker to the live tells and the reads that you have on someone, taking out different parts of their range on the flop, turn, river, or wherever it is. It gets so complex, and I know a lot of people out there, they really underestimate how much complexity there is in this kind of stuff. And I'm not gonna spoon feed people. I'm not gonna be like, here's everything I've learned, because I mean, why the fuck would I do that? You know, it's not like I'm not doing this YouTube channel to be like, hey guys, here's all the information you could possibly have. I'm doing it to teach people how to get from the micro stakes to the small stakes to the mid stakes. I don't want to teach people how to fucking crush the 100Ks. That's what I want to be able to do that still. So yeah, it's one of those things where I know a lot of people are going to get real tilted at me every single time I mention live tells. And honestly, if you don't like it, fuck off. I love you, but fuck off. But yeah, it's super fun. And for you all out there who want to learn a lot more about this, really the one piece of information I really want to tell people is just look at your opponent and come up with a theory. Come up like, maybe if they do that, that means that they're not nutted. And then test that theory, test it on other people, look for it on other people. You don't have to bluff them and see if they have a nuts or anything. You can just look at other people's hands and be like, oh, I was right, he did have that. Or, oh, okay, I was wrong about that, move on. And once you have a large enough sample on something, let's say it was correct like 19 times out of 21 times, that's definitely a mathematically significant sample. You can start saying, okay, this is a thing. I'm going to start using that and implicating that. And if people tell you it's just confirmation bias, tell them to fuck off as well, because it's just not. If something works like 21 out of 23 times, it's not confirmation bias. The chances of that being coincidence, if it's meant to be 50-50, is like ridiculously small. And you can use your logical analysis in a specific situation. Try and be as void of biases as possible, and start crushing these tournaments in a lot of ways, because this really is the next level of poker that hasn't been discovered. It's that jungle that people haven't quite macheted their way through and found all the little beautiful places within. It's that huge pile of money that's just been waiting to be found by people who can annihilate live tells. But at the same time, you do have to be very good with theory. You have to be very good discipline. You have to have very good mental game. You know, like, you can supplement this with meditation, with nutrition, with all these different things. There's so much that goes into being a professional poker player. And I genuinely, from the depth of my heart, I really do care about people making this, because poker's given me so much that I wouldn't otherwise have. Otherwise, I'd be working. Like, I was going to be an investment bank man. I'll probably be an investment bank right now in my, like, not great suit around people that I don't really like, just being like, oh, one day I'll be earning like a few $100K a year and then I'll be happy, but I'll never really be happy. And poker is just such a beautiful way to escape a 9-to-5. And I really, 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 really want to give that to other people that are willing to work hard and willing to take that opportunity for themselves and create that kind of financial independence and prosperity in life that drink house. Yeah, that's what I'm like when I'm drunk with it. That I've managed to get for myself. Anyway, I hope you feel my passion, and I'm gonna go have a good time with Hannah. So peace. And yo, Hannah's got something to say to y'all out there. She's been trawling through my YouTube comments.
Fuck you guys.
It's not quite how you planned it. Let me try again.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you're aggressive. She hasn't been drinking at all. So basically, there are a bunch of people, well, it's probably like a few people, commenting like, where's the cardboard at? Why has you got cardboard in your house? Because we just moved in, guys, a month ago. And Hannah was kind of tilting at that. And
Raging. Rage
yeah.
quit.
Yeah, I think you kind of rage quit the comments because the internet's not for you, man. Do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Get real close up.
No. I have awkward face on.